Here's an interesting question from a viewer. I'm 72 years old and not prepared to stop an intruder physically, so my only defense are my guns. Is it legal to use deadly force right away if need be? But before we get into it, we have a gun giveaway going on right now. You can enter for free, but it ends really soon. So click the link in the description down below to reveal which brand new gun you could win. Okay, Tom, this sounds like a disparity of force discussion here. If someone is 72 years old, can he use more force sooner in order to stop a deadly threat? And it said intruder, so I'm thinking home invasion, so maybe some castle doctrine discussion comes in here as well.
Yeah, the book of Handgun Proverbs, chapter 3, verses 1 through 2, is that God created man, Sam Colt made them all equal.
Wow.
Right?
Now I'm going to have to remember that chapter and verse.
I just made that up right now.
I know, but it's great, so
Great.
I'm going to
It's
have to
good
remember
material.
and use
That's
that.
why I'm here, right?
I typically say something like the Mr. Manley Handbook, page 2204.
That works. Well, they could be cross-referencing.
Yeah.
So, but look, there's a lot of truth to that line, right? Of typically most people committing crime are physically capable adult males, or at least have the bodies of an adult male, usually somewhere between the ages of about 16 to 45. Mm-hmm. Fair enough?
I was going to go with 18 to 26 because that
Okay.
seems like the people I deal with all the time.
That's, of course, the peak of testosterone creation,
Right.
which does map nicely, super nicely, with aggressive behavior, which, of course, also maps nicely with violent crime. But right, yeah, we're both in the same strike zone there. So obviously, if you can't physically resist someone, if you're not ready to take on between 1 to 10 individuals that fit that body description, and retreat's not an option, then we're off into some sort of weapons territory in order to try to equalize the physical disadvantage or the physical disparity.
And is the most important part of this being able to articulate why you use the amount of force you use to stop the threat?
Yes, but a lot of it can also vary by law. So there's always the discussion of we can only use deadly force to stop a deadly threat. Okay, so let's put that in a box on the shelf. The next question is we're specifically talking about the context of an intruder, which I'm taking to mean we're in some sort of home invasion scenario. So there's going to be a discussion, as you brought up, about castle doctrine as well, which may or may not apply here. Now, castle doctrine is never a license to kill. What it does, though, is it creates a presumption that if someone has broken into your home or maybe is in the process of breaking into, check your local listings, uscca.com/laws, to learn about castle doctrine and what laws might be applicable in your state. But if somebody has broken into or is in the process of breaking into your home, you don't have to wait for them to brandish the firearm and start shooting you to say, oh, they're a deadly threat. Right. They're mere actions which trigger whatever specific legal criteria may exist in your particular state or jurisdiction is enough to create a presumption under the law that they are doing this, therefore they are now a deadly threat. I don't have to wait for them to plunge a knife into my leg to confirm that fact, and I can now work. Now, of course, it creates a presumption. Anytime we hear that P word, there's an R word that follows it, rebuttable, meaning that you can lose that presumption if certain other facts may arise, such as the person retreats when you present a firearm and they start running away. Can't shoot them.
Yeah, don't shoot them as they're running away. If they're trying to get out of your house, folks, let them get out of your house.
So that's really the you put your finger right on the pulse here, which is this entire situation is about stopping a deadly threat, period. All castle doctrine does is it creates a presumption that you are facing a deadly threat. That threat can disappear, right? Yeah. But maybe the person breaking into your house is your next door neighbor, and they're maybe not trying to get sugar, but whatever the case may be, right? They're doing it for a friendly reason. Maybe because they saw a fire in the back of your house and they're trying to, they're ringing the doorbell. Your doorbell doesn't work. Now they see you're in this room. They're breaking in or, whatever, make up a scenario and just run with it. That's the underlying doctrine that we're talking about. So to return to the actual question of somebody's breaking in, I'm 72 years old, and presumably I'm not going to be in a position to physically resist an adult male who's presumably in good physical shape. And what am I supposed to do? Yes. Subject to local laws, you definitely may be in a position to employ deadly force. But keep in mind that right to use deadly force may disappear in any moment once the facts change.
Yeah, and I think I fall back to this. All the rules continue to apply. There's just some more rules that might give you a little bit better legal standing when you're dealing with things like this. And you mentioned it might be somebody else, or it might be, you want to make sure that you're facing an imminent deadly threat. It is reasonable to assume that a 26-year-old, physically fit person could, when attacking a 72-year-old person, present an imminent threat of death or great bodily harm. So that all of those elements are still there. I want people to use deadly force as that last resort. There's just some other things to think about as we're involved in this.
Yeah, deadly force should never be the first response. Now, understand that we also don't have time to obviously break out a clipboard and start to do math, right?
Can go from zero to deadly force really fast.
Real fast. Real fast, for sure. But that is the legal analysis. And for that matter, I would say the moral analysis that must be undertaken any time that you're going to consider using deadly force.
Do you carry with a round in the chamber? Because if you don't, you need to watch this video right next to me, because it's dangerous not to, and I'll explain why. Yes, you should carry with one in the chamber.